Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Dang,
Hello, welcome back to podcast 43. And this week we are going to be talking Paul Schrader's Blue Collar, his directorial debut from 1978. But first off, how are you doing, Fulton?
I'm doing good. I can't really complain. How are you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Been a busy
Mhm.
week, but yeah, felt like I was hanging out with some fellas watching this movie. Felt like I was hanging out with not only Richard Pryor but also Harvey Keitel and
Mhm.
Yaphet Yaphet Koko Kodo Yaphet Kodo.
Well, I full-heartedly agree, and I also want to point out that I didn't do too much like research into this one, because I kind of wanted to go into it blind, and I have never really seen. This is my first Paul Schrader movie. I did not know that this was his directorial debut, and for that, I must say, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What a strong debut, man. That's insane. Um, yeah, but where would you like to start with Blue Collar?
Yeah, I guess we can just I think you should pick. I'll go wherever you want to lead me.
Okay. I'll summarize my thoughts with one antidote, and then I'll go in from there. An hour after I got done watching this movie, I immediately bought it. So I'll let that kind of, speak for itself. I might be riding a kind of high with this film. And I feel like, it happens every once in a while when, when you watch a lot of movies and you find one in particular that you just like, it feels electric.
Mhm.
I think the last movie I saw that really made me feel the same way was Dog Day Afternoon, which is like my favorite Al Pacino performance by, and I think it's a great performance, but not to get too sidetracked, but I don't know, man, this film just has this like I don't know how to describe it, but I just feel like everything is working so well together. The casting I thought was perfect, and they all have a really good deal of a really good deal of chemistry, and it does truly feel like they're all kind of bond over not only being in the same area together but also dealing with the same type of work and the same type of kind of frustration that they feel with the higher ups and with their union and with the job that they work, because they work out of manufacturing. Is it Goodyear? I think Goodyear, or no, maybe that was just the advertisement, but they work for like a Ford.
They work for Ford, I believe.
Yeah, like a Ford production, like assembly. They're all in the assembly line and everything. Um, and I actually think this might be my first Richard Pryor movie too, as well. And I feel like I really underestimated him.
You never saw
Because
the Muppet movie?
mm-mm.
Oh,
Wait, do you like
yeah.
the original Muppet movie?
Yeah.
The only Muppet movie I've seen is Muppets Christmas and the 2015 one with Jason Segel.
That was
It's,
yeah, 2011. No,
oh,
that
2011.
was the sequel that had.
Oh, Muppets Most Wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, man, but so I just have always known Richard Pryor as a comedian. I mean, and I shouldn't be too surprised, because more often than not, comedians tend to be pretty good at acting. When it comes to like serious roles and stuff like that. And yeah, so man, I'm just really blown away by this film. I'm excited to talk about the ending, but I don't want to, jump too far. Um,
Well,
yeah.
I will say that I I really like Paul Schrader a lot as a director. I
Mhm.
mean, I like him as a writer too, but it is amazing this run. So this was his first film, and
Mhm.
then his follow up to this was Hardcore, which is awesome, which is also a great film.
Mhm.
And then American Gigolo, which I still haven't seen. Then Cat People, which I'm a really big fan of, and then Mishima: A Life in Four chapters,
Mhm.
which are all, I mean, at least those 4 out of those 5 are some of my favorites. Definitely Cat People is the lesser of them, but I think it's amazing that he's able to just kind of jump into she's just able to jump in so seamlessly into the director's chair, and I think a lot of it has to do with like his experience as a screenwriter,
Mhm.
because he wrote Taxi Driver, he wrote Obsession, or
Mhm.
which is the Brian De Palma movie that I champion a lot.
I still
Rolling
need to see that one.
Rolling Thunder. I don't
Mhm.
know. He's so like he has a lot of experience, and I also think he's able to say something really profound kind of about the labor movement at that point, where it kind of feels like there was like kind of this explosion in kind of labor rights first half of the uh over the first half of the 20th century. You had the New Deal, you had a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of laws being passed to ensure that people can organize, and then
Mhm.
it kind of you kind of watch as like unions are falling apart under their own weight and their own corruption. And I think
Mhm.
that Schrader's able to kind of look at this and uh to do it in such a way that's also that also is, it feels more dramatic, sure, but I think that there's also a lot of comedy to it up until about the end. I felt like it
Yeah.
was a pretty good ride, and then it gets quite intense.
Mhm.
But so basically, if for people that haven't watched it, the plot of the movie is that there are these three there are these three workers, and the one's played by Harvey Keitel, one's played by Richard Pryor, and one is played by Yaphet Kotto, and who actually passed away a few months ago. Uh, Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But so then they're fed up with how the union treats them because they don't really get anything done. They don't repair any like broke down machines in the like as far as like vending machines and stuff, or they just don't necessarily really care too much about them
Mhm.
as workers. And so then they decide to rob the union safe, and they find that there really isn't that much money. And then it's kind of like them going from there after doing this heist that doesn't really that ends up not really being so successful, and kind of like how they end up getting pitted against each other by the
Mhm.
union and by a lot of other powers that be, and that kind of breaks apart whatever solidarity they had. If I
It's
could
very sad too.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah, it's crushing, man. Especially that final scene, um, between Harvey Keitel and Richard Pryor. Um, and specifically where they kind of, their friendship is diluted to a ton of like rolling slurs at each other.
Yeah.
It's very, very sad. And I love how um uh Paul kind of brings up that line by Yafet about, you know, the I don't know if he was I'm trying to remember if he was talking about the union or the company in general, but about how it basically takes everyone and pits them together so they don't get, success for the both of them. They just make them crumble, like you said, from the inside.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought that was so perfect, man. I don't know. I'm trying not to speak in a ton of like hyperbole, but I did very much. I found the film to be very moving, and it really like I've always liked Harvey Keitel, but now I feel like I really do want to explore kind of more of his movies, and same thing with Richard Pryor
Well,
as well.
Pryor also like was always known for being kind of a comedic actor, because he's a very
Mhm.
big stand-up comedian. So to watch him kind of have this dramatic range is like
It's insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any Richard Pryor dramatic performances that are as good as he is here. and
Mhm.
and like he does a lot of good comedic bits too, especially at the beginning when he's like wisecracking with his like family, and he's like, "Yeah, better be playing that TV all the time. I paid a lot of money for it." Because he's complaining about what they're watching on TV.
Yeah.
And and then his wife's like, "Well, okay, why don't you just shut it off then?" He's like, "No, we're gonna watch TV
Until the end of time.
until the end of time." Um, and so yeah, there's a lot of really. It's just kind of an interesting turn that I think Schrader does a really good job with.
Mhm.
And then also, I love that like Captain Beefheart like blues riff that plays throughout the whole movie. The it's a very nice leitmotif
Yeah.
of kind of what's going on. And yeah, it's
One little comedic scene I kind of wanted to highlight was the scene where Richard Pryor's character Zeke, I believe, wakes up in the middle of the night, and he tells his wife that he has to go help a friend move, and they have to get it done by a certain time.
yeah.
And then you see, Richard Pryor and Harvey Keitel meet up at Yafet's house, and it turns out that they're just going to like a big swingers party. And there's just a scene where Harvey Keitel is holding a dildo and Richard Pryor's holding a dildo, and they're like stabbing each other like they're having a sword fight. And I thought that was pretty funny. I really was not expecting to see
It's
see that.
real brotherhood
Mm-hmm.
on display.
Yeah.
And the union gets in the way of that, and that's
Mm-hmm. It's quite sad. It's so sad.
So I also really like that scene at the beginning. So they're kind of talking about how they're at the union meeting, and then they have on the wall, like they kind of have all these like, martyrs of like the labor movement. Like the way it's framed is like you see like pictures of Martin Luther King and JFK, who pictures of JFK show up a lot in this movie actually. But it's like these are two people that like kind of are seen as like people that fought for like union and like labor rights, and it's like they're dead, they're dead. And so like whatever, there's like, almost like a lack of leadership as far as like where to go from after that. And like especially in like the late 70s, the United States was not doing too well economically because of a bunch of other factors. So it's very it paints kind of a very grim portrait of like what are these organizations. These organizations have gone astray, and like especially like the president of the union, which I what is his name? That's
Charlie.
Eddie. No.
Yeah. I'm having trouble remember.
Yeah, it was Eddie Johnson, that played by Harry Belaver. And like he just looks at himself, he just sees himself as like kind of this white savior type figure when he talks to Richard Pryor's character Zeke. And he's like, did you know that like back in my day, like because Richard Pryor's character is such a hothead, he complains about so much that he doesn't see as right in the union, as whether it be mistreatment or just like racism that he sees. And then also he says like, I know that you spoilers actually, but I know that you murdered Smokey James, Yaphet Kotto's character. And Eddie Johnson is like, back in my day when I was working on the line, black people couldn't even work here, and it was because of people like me that we like stood up and like fought for that. And it's like I was just such like, white saviory type stuff where it's just like I'm absolved because I fought for that, but like I don't need to actually help any of these people. And I saw that to be kind of him being kind of a symbol of this. And then the commentary on the Indicator Blu-ray, they even call him the White Devil. So yeah. And then like, all of this is spurred because of that scene where Smokey James gets killed in the paint in the place where they paint the cars and stuff, and he gets like locked in, and like Zeke is like, this is, that he was murdered, he was set up and stuff, and it's a very, very, very uncomfortable scene. You just watch as he suffocates. That's when the movie gets.
I really thought he was gonna get out of it, if I'm being honest, or maybe that was the hopeful side of me, but I thought he could have kept punching that. For people who just to kind of build out the scene, he's asked to go to like the paint kind of department of it and go paint a car. And so there's one door that has like a little piece of, not a little, but it's got like a little glass window in it. And a forklift is parked on the outside of the door, so he can't open it because it swings out. But he doesn't start to hit the glass till moments before his death, unfortunately. So by the time he does open up the glass, it's not enough to really save him.
Exactly.
It's a very sad scene. Because I really did like Smokey, because throughout the film, Smokey is, I mean, he's kind of like,
I feel like he's kind of like the glue that holds them together. Well, at least that's what kind of he becomes at the end. Because without him, then they kind of, then without him, then Harvey Keitel and Richard Pryor turn against each other.
Yeah. Because they have two different aspirations of what they want to do with their information that they have about the union, which is this little like shark loans book. And Richard Pryor kind of wants to either use it as blackmail or just sell it outright. And Harvey Keitel's character, I think at first, if I'm remembering correctly, he kind of wanted to he didn't want to turn it in immediately. But he does end up doing that.
Wanted to extort them.
Yeah. And it's just really sad because you also do see Smokey protecting. I mean, he outright protects Harvey Keitel's character by these two dudes kind of drop into the local bar, and they're kind of investigating around and like looking for where Harvey Keitel is. And so Smokey goes to Harvey's house and stays there until they come, and he beats them up and basically like scares them out of doing what they were going to do. And I'm sure he would have done the same thing for Richard Pryor's character, Zeke, as well, if the opportunity had presented itself. So it really does suck that he passed away, but ultimately for the story, it does mean a lot.
Well, and to kind of tie that into my like Martin Luther King, JFK type thing, both of those people, both of those figures were both assassinated by people and kind of created disarray and kind of broke the unity. I'll say more so Martin Luther King, especially being assassinated right at the height of the civil rights movement, which led to a lot of civil unrest afterwards, and kind of left kind of the civil rights movement in disarray. So similarly, this is kind of that, but on like a micro scale. And Martin Luther King was even going to start focusing on like labor rights and stuff, I believe, in his writings after things like the passage of the Civil Rights Act happened, and everything else that was being fought for, such as desegregation. It's just another example of violence being used to kind of quash any question or change to the status quo in this film. And yeah, it's sad. It's a sad movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. It is very sad, but it's also so exceptionally well made at the same time. It's a perfect combination. Did you have any more final thoughts on the film?
Yeah, I just would like to say that that Paul Schrader is a is a master
Mhm.
in not only writing films but also writing Facebook posts.
Yes, I thought we were
Sometimes.
going to talk about that at some point. He posted a nice photo of him at the racetrack recently, so that was quite sweet.
I just would like to know like what he does other than just like stare at attractive women and write about it.
Oh man. Well, he has a new movie coming out here within the next couple months.
The Card Counter.
Yeah.
It's I think September 10th is when it comes out. The thing about him is that he's, even though he's great, he definitely has a lot of things where like I'll get into it later, but I watched his film The Canyons that came out in
Mhm.
2013 that he did with Bret Easton Ellis wrote it and he directed it, and it's got Lindsay Lohan in it and James Dean, the porn star,
Mhm.
and it's very bad. But he, but you know, they can't all be winners. But yeah, so I will wholeheartedly recommend uh, Blue Collar, as well as a couple other Schraders that you should check out. Like Mishima should be a priority, and
Mhm.
also Hardcore.
Well, Pauline Kael seems to disagree on hardcore.
Hey, well,
But we'll
he,
see. Well, I guess, are we ready to it also, if we're kind of putting our final thoughts on it, I highly recommend this movie. And I'm gonna be checking out more of his work. So yeah. Are we ready to move on to the next section?
yes, let's.
Okay. I guess, did you want me to cover The Green Knight and then give like my quick thoughts on Old really quick as a part of our recent kind of
Yeah,
releases?
sure. Let's hear your thoughts on the Green Knight on this.
So I feel kind of mixed on Green Knight. I don't hate it, nor do I really love it. I kind of want to get the positives out of the way before I kind of get to like my little bit more of a nitpicky side.
Well, you know it's against the law to like not like a new A24 movie. So
Well, it I don't know the budget for Green Knight. But to give uh, the film feels like a really big, but it feels like it has a really big budget and a really small budget at the same time. And so for me, this film almost feels kind of like a gamble for A24. Because I believe, I mean, so much of it looks like it was shot on location, which I also really appreciate. And all the sets are really nice. The production design is really good. You can kind of go back and forth with what you think on the visual effects, but I personally thought that they were fine. I didn't really mind them. Um, what else am I mean, the lighting was beautiful. I thought the cinematography was amazing. I thought all the casting was really nice. I even like all the makeup that they had for the Green Knight. Also, like, I get that it doesn't quite look realistic, but I also really kind of like the way that it looked. Um, so that's kind of all the positives that I want to get out of the way. And just from like the feeling that I get, it does in moments feel like a very big, like, blockbuster period piece. And so that's why I say it kind of feels like a gamble to me to invest a lot of money into David Lowery, because I don't know of the exact box office returns for The Old Man and the Gun, but I didn't really hear a lot of people talk about that movie. And I think I've seen most of his work,
yeah,
give or
because
take.
well, of course, me and you went and saw a Ghost Story together.
I've seen that one, Old Man and the Gun. I've seen this one. I feel like there's one more movie that he's seen that I've
Pete's
forgotten about.
Dragon.
Well, he's doing a Peter Pan and Wendy and Peter Pan movie, which I just find his kind of involvement with Disney to be a little funny. Um, so yeah, I mean, I did enjoy. I very much enjoyed certain aspects of the film, but I think I should put a strong emphasis on this. It's very in line with the rest of his other films, and for me, um, I mean, fundamentally, he just makes very um. There's no way for me to really beat around the bush, but I just really have never really been a big fan of his pacing. It's just so they're just paced very, very slow to me. And that's where I very much enjoyed the film, but at the same time I thought it was way too slow. But that is more of a thing that if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, then you're kind of in the spot that I am. But if you like David Lowery's films and you're into his kind of whole like um introspective kind of thing and the slow pacing and everything, and I mean, I don't, it's probably for you. I mean, I've been seeing the film get a lot of love. And then I've seen kind of people kind of, on the opposite side of that. And I can see why people would very much like it. And I can see why people kind of don't. Like I said, there are aspects of it that I really want to applaud. Um, and, something, but at the same time, I'm just not too personally crazy about it myself. I think it's a very interesting story. I like the script for the most part. I don't really have any complaints there. My only issues with the pacing, but that's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a David Lowery thing, but most of his films tend to be kind of slower paced, which is fine, but I just personally, I
I
wasn't.
mean, if you want to eat Rooney, if you want to watch Rooney Mara eat a whole pie, like, you do you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I don't,
Yeah.
not really too crazy about David Lowery, but I I will be seeing this one. So is that a meh recommendation? Is that
Yeah, I mean, I also want to point out I found this comment to be very funny. Dev Patel was asked if he'd ever do like franchise. I guess through like the press runs for this movie, he was asked if he'd ever do like franchise, like another franchise or anything, and he totally like. I'm not trying to misquote him, but I don't remember the quote specifically in my head. But he said something along the lines like, "Oh, I don't want to do any of that because I couldn't grow in that role that I had." So I applaud the people who wear capes and are in visual effects and all that stuff. And it just seemed like he was really like sliding all of the actors that are in Marvel and everything, which I just thought to be a little odd.
Well, I find that comment quite funny from him, considering that Danny Boyle just announced the sequel to Slumdog Millionaire, Slumdog Billionaire.
Are you
No, I'm just kidding.
okay? I was about to say, well, T2 happened. I never thought that would, come into fruition. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of a weird comment. And I'm not a big Marvel guy. Do not get me wrong. I'm just saying
You thought it was? Did you think it was?
I thought it was a little kind of, it was just like, look at me. I only do art films. And it's like, well, I mean, you choose your own lane, I guess. There's nothing wrong with people that are in something else. Might not
Yeah.
be as high as an art form, but I don't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, I do like him. I think he's a very talented actor. Thought he was, it's very interesting to see him kind of go from Skins, then Slumdog Millionaire and everything else, and he's got a very interesting kind of filmography to him. But I guess I'll kind of uh do old really quick. Under Chris's guidance and a few other people that I follow on Letterbox, I did want to see old, but I will be honest, I forgot about the movie when it had come out, and I was like, oh shit, that's already out. So I headed to the theater, went to go see it, and I very much enjoyed the film, but dear Lord, that was the worst theater experience I've had in recent memory. It was quite terrible. So I kind of want to watch the movie again
What
at a
happened was
later
just
date.
people being like, "Oh my god, no, he didn't."
Well, surprisingly not, but and the only reason I say that is so this mom had a daughter and a son and a even younger daughter that was I mean, she was practically a baby. She kind of had to be, well, I don't know. I don't know how old how old the youngest daughter was, but so the mom sat in the front of the theater, right? And then I was like near the middle. And then so the rest of her family sat right behind us. And so like the son had no like I hate being um I hate being kind of the dude like he doesn't have any theater etiquette, but I like as long as you're just like quiet when you talk, I don't really care. As long as it's just like not distracting, you're just being like respectful of other people because other people, paid to come see this movie and stuff. He was like he was like, "Yo, what time is it? I'm getting so tired right now."
Why?
He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go pee." And he's just talking at like full volume. And I was like, oh, and then he kicked my seat just like randomly. And I kind of jerked forward, because it's a scary movie and everything. And kicked my seat. The daughter was putting her feet up on the thing, which I don't really care if you put your feet up on the row in front of you, as long as like you're just like trying to be easy about it, which she was not. And so I could feel like every single vibration from her. And then the daughter was like, the youngest daughter, I guess, had a phone and she was playing like stuff off YouTube and like crying and walking around.
What?
And it was just very, very just so distracting, and so like difficult for me to like really pay attention. But despite all that, I really liked the movie, just not the theater experience. Yeah, no, but this movie just had a drop in the box office, which is really sad, and it's kind of getting a lot more hate than I think it deserves. And I don't feel like I personally have too much to add to it other than what Chris had already said, last week. But yeah, I definitely think you should like go and check this one out, because it's a good time and it's a good time in the theater.
I just
it-
think it's dumb for people to like criticize like the acting, especially like
mm,
it's kind of supposed to be like partly camp, I think, and like
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you want. I really I don't know what you want from old.
They're never happy with the M. Night Shyamalan movie. But I honestly thought he was kind of having a bit of a reevaluation with this movie, but I guess that's kind of only within like
The
the
people on Twitter
yeah,
circles.
like
Yeah.
the film Twitter. Outside of that, in the mainstream, a lot of people really don't.
I wish
I
it
just
was
don't
as
understand. I don't. It's a fun movie, and I do see where you were going when last week when you were talking about it. Could have been something that had like this kind of really powerful message, but it kind of took the more schlockier route, which is okay. I thought it was going to be like a time heals all wounds type beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I still enjoyed the way that it kind of played out. Um, so yeah, I thought medium sized sedan was a great rapper name. That was a good one for an M Night. Or mid-sized sedan, or however, I don't even which one it was, but yeah. But I guess I'll just throw this one in because I haven't seen a ton of movies this week. The only other movie I saw this week besides those two was True Grit, from the Coen Brothers. Please, 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 please go see this movie. Not go see this movie, just watch the movie. It's not in theaters.
Yeah, you got
I'm so late to the game on this one.
Yeah,
11 years late.
I saw that in theaters when I was like 10, and
Yeah.
like, yeah,
I wish I saw it, man.
I
I
thought it
feel so
was.
stupid.
No, don't worry. You can only you can only change your future,
Very true.
But you're 9,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I'm so late to the game, but Jeff Bridges, probably one of my favorite Jeff Bridges performances. He's
well,
so funny. Matt Damon's amazing, and Haley Seinfeld or Steinfeld?
Steinfeld, I think.
Steinfeld. She's very good in it too.
I still haven't seen
Excuse me,
the
I'm sorry.
original though. The original John Wayne True Grit though.
Well, Chris, I was thinking because they made a sequel to True Grit. Well, they actually made a sequel and a spinoff to the original True Grit. We might be able to cover those in like a sequel crew episode
Yeah, it's
at some point.
so the weird thing is that I was at Big Lots a few weeks ago or a few
Mhm.
months ago with you,
Mhm.
and so I saw that they had, it was True Grit, the Coen Brothers one, and then it
Mhm.
wasn't True Grit. It was a double feature: True Grit, the Coen Brothers film, and then it wasn't True Grit, the John Wayne 68 or 69 original. It
Mhm.
was the John Wayne movie Hondo instead,
That's
which I thought
very
was like the
odd.
weirdest double feature
Yeah.
because it Paramount has the rights to both of them, so that's not even like an excuse. It was just
Yeah.
weird that they picked another John Wayne Western.
Well, it's weird that they would pick that one, but they literally had the pick of the litter because they have there's there's the sequel True Grit, A Further Adventure. And then there's also a movie that came out in 1975 called Rooster Cogburn, which is John Wayne's, character. Um, so I would have thought they would have picked, from any of those, True Grit a bit, further one and Rooster Cogburn. That's very weird they picked that one.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm always happy to watch another John Wayne Western, but
Yeah.
very interesting pick on their part. So all you watched was True Grit, though. I know that we kind of had barely any time in between the last episode
Yeah.
and this episode. So
I saw old Green Knight, True Grit, and Blue Collar. So yeah, it was kind of a slow week for me. There's just been a lot going on.
well, I have a few things to talk about.
Mhm.
I'm not really gonna say too much else on the Canyons. The Paul Schrader. It's just for when you. I think Bret Easton Ellis is a interesting novelist. Kind of always kind of been more of a transgressive type writer.
Mhm.
His claim to fame, of course, was American Psycho, which is kind of an important piece of 80s literature, as well as kind of poking fun at that era of kind of wealth and excess.
Mhm.
And so then Rules of Attraction is another one that kind of makes fun of the wealthy, but also kind of the more like wealthy, like preppy, college kids that go to like a liberal arts school in New England or wherever it is. It's been a while, but and then like there's like Less Than Zero, which similarly is kind of about like that type of life along the same lines as Rules of Attraction. But
Mhm.
he wrote this movie, The Canyons, and Paul Schrader directed it. And I think that, I just think that Bret Easton Ellis and Paul Schrader coming together to make something should on paper be really cool, really
Was
awesome, something that I'd be 100% into, but it's
Mhm.
really bad.
Is that the Lindsay Lohan one?
Yeah, yeah, it's the Lindsay
Uh,
Lohan one. She's not good acting. Good, she's not good at acting in this. Uh,
no.
sadly, I mean, she is going through a lot, And
Yeah,
I don't know if she
true.
probably still is. I mean, it's really sad what happened to her.
Yeah, it is she had a show on MTV. I think that got canceled. I don't even know if it had a full season run.
And so James Dean, the porn star, is in this movie too, and he's an awful actor.
Mhm.
Just kind of so way too animated and like also just like cartoonishly shitty.
Mhm.
But the whole thing about the movie is it's like kind of he's supposed to be like he's like this like trust fund kid. He's just comes off as like this very unlikable guy, and it's trying and it's trying to go with that angle about like California kind of being vapid and kind of corrupting people, and then there's like this love triangle, but it's not really saying anything that you haven't already heard, and it also looks like shit. Like it's
Mm.
very ugly movie, and it's just really sad. And I in my review on Letterboxd I said that I'm really disappointed that an Ellis and Schrader collaboration ended up this terrible, but like when Metallica made an album with Lou Reed, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. So
that's a good comparison, I think.
so yeah, it's a skip this one. I'm gonna try to finish out all the Paul Schrader joints that I have still yet to watch, but
Yeah.
I think that it can only go up from here. And then I watched Vampire's Kiss,
Mhm.
which is I don't know if you're familiar with those videos that they post on YouTube, Fulton. It would be like funniest Nicolas Cage performances, those types of videos. And
Mhm.
this one would always show up a lot of scenes from this movie. It's the one where that that meme that he did like the you don't say like those
Yeah.
from this movie.
Mhm.
uh but I think that it in the popular consensus those scenes kind of undercut what kind of movie this is, because it's like actually a pretty great film about a man's like a man's mental state and how he breaks down and kind of becomes schizophrenic and thinks that he's a vampire, and just
Mhm.
kind of like how he's perceived by other people and how he's perceived in his own mind, and kind of this it's a paranoid thriller that also
Mhm.
has these dark comedic elements. And yeah, it's a great Cage performance. There's this that he sleeps, he goes to sleep in like a coffin, or he thinks
Mhm.
it's a coffin, but it's just he took his like couch and turned it upside down, and then he just like lifted it with like these books, and then just kind of like pushes it up and pushes it down as if it's a
Mhm.
coffin. Um and he like won't look at the sun. He buys like vampire fangs, and like just bites people.
I think I added it to my watch list, so I had to make sure because I do want to see it. Yes, I did. Okay, cool.
And then I guess my number one film that I watched this week was the Akira Kurosawa movie Dreams, which
Mhm.
is a movie that Kurosawa made. It was his, I think, third to last movie. So very late Kurosawa from 1990.
Yeah.
And it's just him recapping 8 dreams that he had throughout his life and bringing them to life through film. And it's just a very good example of kind of what I'd say like is pure cinema, or the French term photogenie, where it's just kind of like you can only do this in film. It's like he paints such wonderful pictures
Mhm.
with his camera, and there's I like the depiction of him chronologically, where it's like a lot of the dreams at the so it goes in chronological order, and the dreams earlier in the film are him as a kid, and then like he gets older throughout the later dreams. And there's one especially that's kind of the standout that most people mention is It's the fifth dream, and it's about a guy going into Van Gogh's paintings, and he meets Vincent Van Gogh, and Vincent Van Gogh is played by Martin Scorsese. And
I
so
did not
that's
know that he did that.
yeah,
And he's
yeah.
played by Quentin Tarantino, you said?
What?
You said, oh, sorry.
It's me, Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah.
And so there's also a lot of, you can kind of tell, I think a lot of times, like how these dreams kind of connect, how in his subconscious when he was dreaming, how they kind of connected to like what was going on in the real world at the time, and kind of like his fears, and how they cross over into his dreams. Like there's one where there's one, it's the sixth dream, called Mount Fuji in Red, and there's a fallout after a nuclear disaster, and I can only imagine that the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were probably occurred around the same time, and then the last one I think is really beautiful, just kind of about enjoying life, and kind of feels like one that you could only have if you've lived kind of a long and fruitful life like Kurosawa did. He was about 80 when this was made, and I think that it's a film that you could only make in your old age, kind of looking back fondly on your life. And check this one out, please.
Nice. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to hit the mic. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for us here at Podcast 43. Next week we will be doing, in support of M. Night Shyamalan, we'll be doing The Village, and also, was it Signs, right?
Yeah, Signs.
Yeah, so we're doing a double bill. So yeah, join the Podcast 43 Discord if you want to come talk film with me and Chris. And stay safe until then.
And stay wavy. And also there's the Scrolls on Cinema summer showcase. Make sure to check our Instagram. We will be sharing information on how to get those tickets if you want. It will be fully online, or there's an in-person showing, but the online one's definitely a lot more convenient. So please check into our social media, and we'll keep you posted on those. But please come, turn out, watch some of the films, including the one that I made, Mudhide Maverick. But yeah, have a good week.
Bye.
It's happening. Don't be afraid. It's like War of the Worlds. Believe it's going to pass. Don't be afraid.
They're in the house.